Hi, is the mic on? Okay. Hi, I am Lindsay Jones, the Student Body Vice President, and good afternoon, Class of 23, and welcome to your baccalaureate. Good afternoon, family, friends, and graduates. It's my honor to welcome you all to the Class of 23 Baccalaureate to celebrate these wonderful seniors. I'd like to say I'm beyond proud of my class for surviving these past 12 years, and finally the day has come to graduate. The amount of challenges we have faced over the past few years have put all of us through many ups and downs to this day. We have made it, guys, and I can't wait to say that on Thursday we all get to graduate together as the Class of 23. Now please stand and join us in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance led by Hunter Denham, enlisted by the member of the United States Marine Corps.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which is one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. We will now hear from Marmosky High School Symphonic Orchestra.
Now I'd like to welcome up our principal, Rod Houston.
First, thank you, Mr. Quintana and the Mesquite Symphonic Orchestra for that wonderful song. We appreciate that. Good afternoon, class of 2023, and welcome to your baccalaureate ceremony. Shortly, you'll get another opportunity to hear some more of the beautiful music that your classmates have learned to make in their time here. And you'll get to hear from your student body president, who hopefully has some great advice and memories to share with you. And then we'll get to the final part of this and hopefully, maybe, get some sage advice and wisdom from the enigma that is Mr. Sendelbaum. Before we get to that, I would first ask that you help me acknowledge some of the people who have been instrumental in helping you arrive at this place in time. First, please welcome Mrs. Jill Humphreys, Gilbert Governing Board member. Welcome and thank Dr. Shane McCord, Superintendent of Gilbert Public Schools, and Dr. Barbara Newman, Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning. And now, class of 2023, if you would help me recognize those people here at Mesquite High School who have made these last 4 years, most of you 4 years, so enjoyable and fun. Would the faculty and staff of Mesquite High School please stand? I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge your assistant principals and my A-team, the wildest cats I know. Mr. Rudy Alvarado, Mrs. Marguerite Brown, Mr. Kevin Swan, and of course the lady who keeps us all together, Mrs. Julie Zellner, my assistant. Finally, seniors, I'm going to ask that you would stand and give an ovation to your parents, friends, and family members who are here supporting you today for all the love, support, and grace they have given you, even when you know you probably didn't deserve it. So your family and friends. Before we move to the next step, I do want to take just a moment to share something with you. I found a poem that I wanted to share. I have turned it a little bit to get a little MHS flair in there for you. The poem is entitled The Bridge Builder. It's by Will Allen Dromgoole. An old wildcat going a lone highway came at the evening cold and gray to a chasm vast and deep and wide through which was flowing a sullen tide. The old wildcat crossed at the twilight dim. The sullen stream had no fear for him. But he turned when safe on the other side and built a bridge to span the tide. "Old cat," said a fellow traveler near, "you're wasting your strength with building here. Your journey will end with the ending day. You never again will pass this way. You've crossed the chasm deep and wide. Why build you this bridge at evening tide?" The wildcat lifted his old gray head. "Good friend, in the path I have come," he said, "there followed after me today a youth whose feet must pass this way. This chasm that has been not to me, to that fair-haired youth may a pitfall be. He too must cross in the twilight dim. Good friend, I am building this bridge for him." There are a couple of viewpoints from which you can understand this poem. The first, if we look at the seats where you are now, you're about to graduate from high school and go into the real world. That old wildcat could be any one of the staff, teachers, or administration from the last 4 years who taught you something. Maybe it was something easy, like, let's say, economics. Or something hard, like how to be a true friend. Maybe someone who held you accountable even when you didn't like it, then helped you at least try to process through how it happened to avoid those mistakes in the future. These are the bridges that the staff and old wildcats have built for you. Let's jump ahead a few decades and see what this might look like. At this time, when you look back, have you taken time to build bridges for those that come behind you? Those following in your footsteps, crossing these chasms? Have you given them a road to follow that is maybe a little easier than yours, one that will allow them to go beyond your final destination, give them confidence, and make the world a little better place? My hope for each of you is that you remember your time here at Mesquite with fondness, that the bridges we built for you make your life a little easier and a lot better, that you achieve beyond the goals you have in mind today, that we have given you the courage to dream big and the confidence to go for it. As you go along life's journey, I also want to remind you that you will soon be an old wildcat. And when you look back, I hope you see bridges that you built for all of the wildcats that follow. Now, please enjoy the combined sounds of the Mesquite Symphonic Orchestra and Mesquite High School choirs as they perform Glorious by Masa Fukada.
Times when you might feel aimless and can't see the places where you belong, but you will find that there is a purpose. It's been there within you all along. You can almost hear it. It's like a symphony. Just keep listening, and pretty soon you'll start to figure out your part. Everyone plays a piece, and there are melodies in each one of us. Oh, it's glorious. You will know how to let it ring out as you discover who you are. Others around you will start to wake up to the sounds that are in their hearts. It's so amazing what we're all creating. It's like a symphony. Just keep listening, and pretty soon you'll start to figure out your part. Everyone plays a piece, and there are melodies in each one of us. Oh, it's glorious, 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 glorious. You will see. It's like a symphony. Just keep listening, and pretty soon you'll start to figure out your part. Everyone plays a piece,
Let's give them one more round of applause. Good afternoon, everybody. If you do not know me, my name is Israel Arrieta, and I'm the music director here and a resident DJ for Mesquite High School. The intention for me standing here today was to introduce a noteworthy teacher that was chosen by our senior class to give a speech. But this gentleman deserves more than a simple introduction, because he's more than just your average teacher. No offense to any of the teachers here, but he's a keeper. Even though this man has been here only for a year, he has created a substantial culture here on campus and strictly focused on creating relationships to better connect with the students. As a senior in high school, I've had my fair share of teachers, and I can honestly say that his skills in teaching are extraordinary. Even though his subject in economics is not the easiest class to comprehend, he has a remarkable ability to dissect the content and provide real-world connections to better our understanding. His dedication to us and our education is something that sets him apart from the average educator. Countless times when students do not understand the material, he made it a point to stop and revise the topic in a way it became more comprehensible for us to obtain. One final thing I'd like to share about this man is his phone policy. For us as seniors, we know it's called his technological rehabilitation services. Yeah, it's great. Anyone, including myself, knows if you've been rehabilitated, you know that the ringer is on, your battery's draining, the light's on. He makes it a point that you got your phone taken away. All jokes aside, oh wait, I lost my spot. 1 second. I don't put myself. Take a whack. Oh wait, one more time. All jokes aside, this person is genuinely here for us, and it was an honor to be part of his first year here at Mesquite High School, and I know that we will remember him. Now, let me give a big round of applause, and let me introduce Mr. Sendelbaum.
What happened to my arm? I'll tell you in a sec. Can you hear me now? Testing 1, 2. All right. Hey, so you guys want to hear a story about why my arm is in a sling? Okay. So yesterday, I'm minding my own business. My daughter's lacrosse. I'm there with practice, but I brought the dog with me. And so this dopey dog needs to get out. He always needs to run. He always needs to get his exercise on, right? So I decided that it would be a good idea, instead of me jogging next to him, to put myself on a scooter, which I've done hundreds of times with this dog. And it's not been an issue. This time it was an issue. And of course, he sees another dog and he's like, ooh, I'm going there. And as soon as I saw his mind click, I tried to let go, but he yanked me just in the nick of time, so I fell all the way over, almost head first, landed on my left shoulder, and have broken my scapula in 3 places. So the orthopedic appointment is actually on Tuesday at 3 o'clock. I will keep you posted on how the MRI goes. So that's what's going on here. All right, so with that in mind, it's good to be here, you guys. I was composing this, and I thought to myself, there's really 2 places in this world where I normally cry: weddings and funerals. I may add a third, so if you just want to give me a little encouragement along the way there, I got this. But there may be a few little awkward hesitations, all right? So again, thank you for the opportunity to speak at your baccalaureate event. For parents, relatives, friends, and visitors joining us, my name is Eric Sendelbaum, and I am the econ teacher, the economics, and I also teach a little bit of government here at Mesquite High School. Before I do say anything else, I know, Rod, you already recognize them, but I just want to recognize all the teachers, educators, and staff in this room who have come here today to support the class of 2023. The reason why is if you are a teacher or a staff member here at Mesquite, If you could just please stand one more time, we'd like to recognize you guys. You give me... Thank you. Thank you. You know, it takes a lot of emotional energy to do this gig, and these are all people who could have done something else, but instead have decided to contribute to your guys' professional development as young men and women. And that's why they do come, and that's why they show up every day and care. Even though it's my first year, I can tell that when I meet everybody here at Mesquite High School. It's a culture that's been built here, and I'm just glad to be a small part of it. Also want to thank the parents and guardians here with us today. Thank you for placing your trust in me and my colleagues and the Gilbert Public School system. You know, at the risk of sounding like a Southwest Airlines flight attendant, we realize that in Arizona you do have a choice as to where you send your kids for an education, and we're glad you chose us. So, also special thanks to all the parents and guardians that took my calls, reached out to me by email to communicate about the ongoing education of their young person. It was always a pleasure hearing from you, and it was always a positive and respectful interaction. So like I said a moment ago, I'm honored to be here. Absolutely honored. To have been asked to be your speaker as well for this event. Like any good social studies teacher, guess what? While composing this presentation, I took a moment to research the origins of a baccalaureate event. And here's what I found out. According to a simple Wikipedia search and an article on practicaladultinsights.com, see, I have a real source, written on April 15th, 2023, the event is a celebration of the completion of higher education. It's thought to have its origins at Oxford University in 1432. And originally, it was a religious service conducted by spiritual institutions of higher learning. Nowadays, of course, it is much more secular in nature, but the intended spirit of this event remains. We are here to celebrate the completion of higher education. And we are also here to reflect on the journey that took us to this point. So my goal for speaking today is to add value to your day, to make you glad that you came. I also took time to pause and reflect on what has brought me to this moment. And by now, in class, I'm a little famous for my impromptu stories. You guys with me on this? All right. Well, I've got one. So you may have heard part of this before, but I just want to kind of recap my current events, what happened with me. So I graduated from high school in 1994, and I promptly went to Oregon State University. There we go, baby. That's right. Absolutely. Not to be confused with the Ducks, am I right? Everybody always asks that. Oh, is that the Ducks? No. No, it is not. So, I had started out in business finance because I was really fascinated at the time by high finance, the stock market, things like that, and I wanted to be one of those people that was yelling buy or sell down on the stock exchange. But I soon found out that I had to pass accounting and calculus, 2 classes. So let's just say this caused me to switch to an economics degree where I could still easily be confused with the finance majors, but there was no accounting required, and my dad hired a math tutor and also allowed me to come to his office, and it was the best C I ever got. So I did pass calculus eventually. After living the life at my fraternity for 4 years, college ended, and it was time for me to get a grown-up job. So I worked in corporate America for the next 7 years at companies like Enterprise Rent-A-Car and the Standard Insurance Company. When I relocated to Los Angeles in December 2004, I soon met Mrs. S. When I walked into her office, she reached out to me, by the way, Your Honor. I did not call and bother her, and she wanted me to come hang out with her friend group. So soon after that, of course, I did meet her father, and that's who introduced me to the world of entrepreneurship. Soon after that, about a year later, I left corporate America, made the jump, and decided to make a living as a small business owner. What I was doing was building a client base by going door to door in South Los Angeles, East LA, Long Beach, Compton, City of Industry, Riverside, to name a few. And I built a client base by going door to door and doing that. The worst day I ever had financially was I got a ticket for street sweeping day. I don't know if anybody's from LA or the LA metro area, but they're very serious about their street sweeping days. And so my ticket was $55 and I made $0. So I came home negative 55. The best day I ever had financially is when I had a new client come in and they needed me to help them defend on an OSHA ticket, and they cut me a check for $15,000 for the day. So after some time, I did actually go back to corporate America for a while. I was at Vanguard for a number of years, where I worked in the stock market, and I finally made it to my stock market situation. And then later after that, I also became a part of my father-in-law's other business. At the time, it was grossing 7 figures. And I also helped a good friend run his pool company for a number of years. This, too, was a multi-million-dollar business. See that? I still got it. All right, after all of these experiences, and some monetary success, as well as having some of the fancy stuff, I never really felt like I was satisfied. You know, it was never satisfying emotionally to do those things. I had the fancy meals, the drinks at Ruth's Chris, you know, the fancy acquaintances who were lawyers in Beverly Hills. One evening I even went to the Hotel Bel Air and I got to bump into people like Steve Forbes. But upon reflection, it's all nonsense. It was empty. And so there was always something kind of missing, if that makes any sense. And it was just a little too superficial and empty. So let me land this plane. For those of you still awake, the reason why I'm telling you all this is because of the following story. One day in my travels, when I was working door to door in Los Angeles, I was conducting a forklift training for a small pallet yard in South Los Angeles. And I encountered a guy who had been working there for a number of years. I noticed he was struggling with the workbook. And I asked him in Spanish, what was the matter? What was the problem? And he admitted that he could not read. He could not read in English or Spanish. So he couldn't read in any language. He had been brought by his family to the United States, but he had dropped out of school in Mexico during 2nd grade to go and work and support the family. The boss had told all of the employees that they needed to pass this test to keep working there. And so at that point in time, after most of the other employees had finished, I didn't want to embarrass him, I just sat with him at the table and I read the questions out loud to him. After about 30 minutes, he was able to demonstrate that he was safe to drive a forklift and that he was going to be continuing to be employed there. It was at that moment I knew I was probably destined for teaching, but I denied it for another 10 years. And the reason why is because I wasn't ready to humble myself and take what I thought would be the big financial hit to become a teacher. Fast forward to 2019, and I had 3 different people who I trust, in the space of a few weeks, tell me, you know what, you should become a teacher. And so after the first one, it could have been like a false prophet, an agitator, somebody who was just making stuff up. But after 3 of them came so close together, that story of that guy, you know, with the forklift training kind of came back to me, and I remembered. And I said, okay, fine. And I relented. And so what I did about it was I soon found that there was a Teach Arizona program here, instituted by Governor Doug Ducey, which would allow me to get a master's in education for no tuition money, so long as I completed, at the time, 1 year of teaching either in the public schools or in the charter system. My student teaching happened during 2019 and 2020 school year. So for those of you playing at home, if you remember how 2020 went, so that was right when the COVID crazy started. That first year I had many events that most teachers will actually never probably have in their teaching careers. The first one was one student tragically took his own life. That was very difficult. In addition to that, there was a jilted ex-girlfriend who was screaming at her ex-boyfriend because he was talking to somebody else, the new girlfriend. And that was in the middle of my AP Econ class, by the way. So this was after she had slapped him at homecoming because he was dancing with another young woman. Another student tried to play the choking game with his friends for fun, and he did nearly kill his friend, but was allowed back into the classroom after it was determined that he had learned his lesson. Oh, but wait, there's more. One student brought her chihuahua to class because it was a half day and she figured she could bring him. And to round out the top 10 of crazy, there was a kid who decided to bring his live lobster to class. This is a real story. The problem was that he took the rubber bands off the claws. And so he had it in his backpack, and it was pinching him. So it made for some odd classroom behavior. And then I noticed he needed to go to the bathroom real quick, but he brought his backpack. Well, that's where he got busted by somebody else who came in. He was washing the lobster under the sink because it looked like it, quote, wasn't doing very well. So a few weeks later was spring break 2020, and then that was the end of my student teaching. So for the first couple years after that, I took a job teaching 8th grade at one of the local charter schools. And 8th grade was interesting. You know, a fart could derail class pretty easily. And it was tough because also wrestling or talking about wrestling with each other was something else they liked to do. I don't know why. So after 2 years of that nonsense, I wound up here. And so this is my 3rd year overall in teaching. I have a classroom and students who come to me instead of the other way around, because when I was at the charter school, I had to teach off of a cart with a laptop. So that's kind of nice. There have been no animals harmed in my classroom this year, with a few more days left to go. And I've not had any jilted exes yelling at their former significant others. I'm with the seniors now, who are in the kind of the almost adult category, although a fart can still derail class, just FYI. So, here's what I came to share with you today, is that I'm grateful to be here. The feeling of emptiness is gone, and it has been one of the greatest pleasures of my life thus far to teach the class of 2023. So that's the point. That's the lesson. Each of us, especially each of you, is endowed with a specific talent. For me, that is teaching high school economics. Every day, I look forward to seeing you guys, even if it was a day where you were just, you needed to be a mess because life outside of these walls was in session in a difficult way. It was my endeavor to make sure you felt welcome, cared about, at any time that you were in my room. That's why I had the dum-dums and the minion with his thought bubble to teach me random words, and a free drawing space on the back board. It was just a place where you could, yes, learn from my brilliantly crafted economics lessons, but also where you could just feel comfortable in our space, and that it was a positive memory in your high school career. So, as for me, I will also remember the fun times. This moment today will rank high on my list. But I will also remember the breakfast club groups which come in at lunch and visit. Phrases like, that the minion taught me, I'm gonna keep it $1.50 with you, or I'm the top G, thirst trapping. There we go. That's right. No, Mr. Senabal, I'm not thirst trapping on my phone. Okay, I got it. Or I will remember chaperoning the prom, where I was invited into the circle of trust in the middle of the dance floor. Yeah, absolutely. Some people call that the mosh pit, by the way, just FYI. I also remember senior ditch day, when I taught a few dedicated attendees how to play Texas Hold'em, which again has something to do with economics. It is the sunk cost fallacy. So, just so you know, just for the record. So, to stay focused for a moment, the goal of education is to figure out what the special thing is for you. You were able to explore your interests, your likes and dislikes. Then, once you find that activity or career which really moves you, pursue it. That's what I'm doing now. As I reflected on my own academic career to find inspiration for this speech, I remembered the first event like this that I attended. It was an introduction to high school event, and it was the week before classes began. So I don't really remember the speaker. I don't remember much about what he said, but I do remember the catchphrase. The takeaway was, don't find yourself saying, I wish I would have. And that was something that I think you guys could use, but it was that emotional connection that helped me. And I think for me, my attempt at a takeaway is search until you find your endowed talent. Each of you has a talent that you're endowed with. Search for it, find it, and when you find it, pursue it. For this guy, teaching high school, I finally realized that chasing the stuff or having fancy but superficial friends wasn't really worth it. None of this fills the void if you don't feel satisfaction from your efforts at the end of the day. The emotional connection to teaching has made this the best year of my professional working career. And I got this. I truly enjoy coming to work every day to see you guys. So, one of the more authentic communicators, I want to explain one other thing about my teaching. One of the more authentic communicators among you called me out on this recently, so I wanted to add this thought. In class, I will frequently respond to students saying, I love all of the children in my class equally, and I believe the terms you guys use are cappin' or liar. And let me give you this rebuttal. I thought I should explain further. It's really, for me, the grace that I extend to each of you. I try to be kind evenly, and my goal is to make you feel cared about. And any grudges that I may have, or any beefs or frustrations, for me, they typically last about 20 minutes, and then I'm off to my next adventure. And this doesn't mean that all of the humans in my life, that I like them equally. It just means that I extend that love and grace to them equally. Does that make sense? So it's just the same way that it is in your own life, right, with people that you come into contact with. There's those that you will like better than others, but you can still be loving towards them. So with that said, thank you. Thank you for asking me to speak today. Thank you all again for coming. You guys, I've found the thing that I love to do, and I've loved my time with you during this critical year in your life. Now go out, find the thing you were made to do, celebrate and reflect as often as possible on this achievement of higher learning. Don't find yourself saying, I wish I would have. And I do love you guys. And I will miss you when you're gone. But please come back and visit when you can. I'll try to have the dum-dums, the airheads, the granola bars ready to go for you when you do. Love you guys. Thank you. Thanks, class of 2023.
Hello everybody, my name is Pedro Mundo and I'm the student body president here at Mesquite. I want to start off this speech by saying congratulations to the class of 2023. We have made it to the end. In just 2 days, high school will be over. We'll walk to our classes for the last time, and soon we will walk across that stage and our days at Mesquite will become a distant memory. We have spent most of our childhood wishing to grow up, to be older. When we entered kindergarten 13 years ago, we wished to be like the older kids so we could have more freedom. We went through elementary school without a care in the world because back then, time felt infinite. After elementary, we entered middle school and wished that we could be older like the high school kids because they seemed to be so much cooler than us. Fast forward a little bit and there we were, first day of freshman year. As we entered high school on that very first day, we were already wishing to be older. Throughout our time in high school, we wished we could be closer to graduation, wished for the time to go faster. As we moved through these past 13 years, we did not realize how fast the time would come and go. This year, we were seniors and tried to live this last year to the fullest, although we were battling college applications and some really bad cases of senioritis. We have all worked through tremendous hardships in order to make it to this moment and take these final steps into the next chapter of our lives. The years of waiting for this moment have turned into months, and these months have turned into days, and as the time has progressed, we have realized that time is not as infinite as it once seemed. Although this time has come a little faster than we might have liked, I am certain that this class is ready to move on to greater things and pursue a life outside the walls of Mesquite High School. We spent our time here making cherished memories that will last a lifetime, but it is time for us to make new memories and grow up. I'm so excited to see how this class will continue to grow after we leave Mesquite High School. Congratulations, class of 2023, and we made it. We will now recess out to our MHS Orchestra playing the Radetzky March.